Hi guys, I'm Karunya and with me is Manisha Gupta, and today we won't talk about commodities per se but also an asset class, cryptocurrencies. A lot is happening, and in the last 1 week especially, the way several of these tokens have moved up, it's quite phenomenal. What's driving it?
Oh well, yes, Karunya, for the longest time after being a laggard and markets pointing a finger at cryptocurrencies on how come they haven't made use of the uncertainty like gold has, they haven't been a safe haven. But that is exactly what is happening now. The short positions which were created in cryptocurrencies, we are looking at a liquidation of that. So people are winding up those positions and buying into the markets. If you look at the last 24 hours, we've done nearly $120 billion worth of transactions in cryptos, and that clearly tells you that there is buying coming into this market. Last 24 hours have been quite strong, but as Karunya mentioned, if you look at the last 1 week, we have seen anywhere between 12 to 28% of gains in many of these cryptocurrencies. So much so, there are 12,000 cryptocurrencies by the way, and some of them actually have hit record highs as well. So very good going in last 1 week.
So, who's outperforming this race of crypto resurgence? What are the tokens in most demand?
As always, it is more about Ethereum, Solana and Bitcoin. We have seen major quality money flowing into these, and then some money has been flowing into other altcoins as well. The markets also are looking at the kind of adoption that we are seeing in the international markets, whether it comes in from brokerages, banks, financial institutions. There are big names now getting into the market, and that clearly has been supported.
And what lies ahead, because this weekend, which is the 1st of April, is also the deadline when the cryptos will start getting taxed for the fiscal. What lies ahead? Are Indians also doing a lot of buying? Do you have any trends or any numbers on what's happening?
So what we do understand is that yes, there is a lot of trade that has happened in last week or 10 days, but what happens on 1st of April is really not a good news for the Indian markets here, because if you invested 100 rupees and you made profit on it, you will be paying 30% of that profit. If you made a loss on it, that can't be offset in a business, so you still are paying that money, and that 1% TDS, even as it comes from 1st of July and not immediately, markets do not like the fact, but they are looking at least the next 2 or 3 months if they are able to convince the government of that. As of now, we do understand that yes, the markets are not very happy with it, and whether it is about your cryptocurrencies, and since it has been virtual digital assets, so from cryptocurrencies to NFTs to gifts to airdrops, no space to hide here. Really.
So in the run up to 31st of March, do we expect more gyrations in the cryptos basket, especially because you can do a lot of trading and whatever little that you can make without paying tax?
Clearly, yes. As I said, the movement or the transactions or the participation volume has been quite strong in the last few days here, and is expected to be in the last couple of days before we hit that 31st of March. 1st April is going to be a new era, clearly in cryptocurrencies, with the kind of numbers that we are seeing.
And should we see a dip afterwards, after 1st April?
Is what the markets are anticipating. Yes, it will take some time before the market absorbs the shock of 30% tax there, and it doesn't end there, right? Because when you look at GSTs, that is another thing that is hanging on as a sword on heads on how that will work out. So there have been a lot of instances going around that some people have made services or done work for the international companies and they have been paid in cryptos. Whether that attracts a GST or a tax, or how is going that to be offset, is something that markets are still awaiting in sense of clarity here. So well, yes, it's going to be quite a mess on 1st of April, but 30% tax is definitely in, is what we understand.
What are you doing with your NFT?
I'm holding it. The rule also says if you're holding it, not doing a transaction, then you're not paying any taxes. So not touching it.
Stay put. Okay, but let's also talk about what's happening in the rest of the commodities basket, especially oil, because that has come off a tad. Tell us what's happening there.
Well, 4 things really. First is the US dollar strength, and that is because of the rate hikes could be way more. That is what is impacting crude. Second is the peace talks between Russia and Ukraine in Turkey slated for this week itself. Third is the OPEC and allies meeting on Thursday. Markets are waiting for what would they do and how much of a gap is still there between the agreed quota. And the fourth major point is that you could be looking at the US inventories raising yet again in this week. So all of that seems to be putting pressure on prices, is the reason that after declining 8% yesterday, we are trading in the negative even now. The markets do believe that it is, as we've talked earlier, that it is going to be between 90 to 120. That big range for the crude prices just might about continue.
Which is still quite high from the normal
It is. And I forgot about the China lockdowns, and that's yet another thing that has weighed onto the prices.
Okay. What about other, commodities, the ones that are hot, that were hot and happening? Are they still surging at higher levels?
I know you're talking about coal and metals and etc. And no, we haven't seen those kind of gains continue there. Coal made an all-time highs of $450 a ton. It's trading at $230 a ton right now. So we're half of where we were, but we still are double of where we started this year with. So yes, the markets are like that. And then it is about the metal prices, which have come off their highs as well. So when you look at the fundamentals in all of this space, I think aluminum is something that you shouldn't be buying, because we still have some more downside remaining on that, because aluminum ran up so much as well. But the two metals that are still doing good is copper and zinc. These are the metals you should be investing in even at these levels.
I want to also talk about the debate between gold and cryptos, because when the Russia-Ukraine conflict also started out, gold was soaring, cryptos were falling, and cryptos were supposed to be this alternate asset class where you could, trade independently of what's happening. And now that, gold is largely where it is and cryptos are once again surging, has the view changed, consensus view?
Not so much, Karunya. If you look at the balance sheet of various banks and investment funds, gold still continues to be strong. The second thing is the bonds, the treasuries, etc. And crypto is a far third is how we see it. But even with that, the last 1 week has thrown so many more, chances and opportunities at you. You have the Goldman Sachs. If you go onto their main homepage, they have included crypto as a feature there. So that tells you that banks are putting it in. We also have Israel's biggest bank telling their client, you can start trading in crypto now. You have El Salvador coming out with a Bitcoin bond issuance. So there are various things happening, slow and steady. But I think we are getting to a place where crypto will be a part of your portfolio. Even if you have been denying it until now, you don't understand there's no regulations. People have a lot of reasons to give when they don't want to include it. But the way the adoption is, LG for that example, has started also dealing in blockchain and crypto. So big companies, institutions, banks, countries coming in, and that tells you that this is here to stay.
It is. Looks like the way things are going, while it does crack a fair bit, it also revives and rebounds, and how. Well, that's all we have in today's update on our commodities chat. Thank you so much for tuning in.